All right, so in this video, I want to talk to you about what helps women who have an anxious attachment style heal from heartbreak. The first thing I think is that it's important to treat this breakup like an addiction. And the reason I think this is important is because when we know that we are addicted to something, to someone, we realize that when it's time to go separate ways, we anticipate to experience withdrawal symptoms. Things like feeling constant pain, sadness, anger, frustration, whole mix of emotions that we go through and experience during that time. And when we anticipate feeling this way, it's not a surprise, it's not a shock to ourselves. This is important because this means that not every single time we have a feeling like this, we're going to act upon it, So for example, I remember when I was going through that time, every time I felt like I missed him, I wanted to text, I wanted to call, and there were times when I lost control and I actually did that. But that was because I did not expect myself to feel that bad. But when you expect and when you know that this is part of the experience, that this is part of being in this space, you can have the feeling without acting on it, without taking action because of that feeling. And this makes a big difference. It also means that when we have these feelings, we don't think that, oh, I'm feeling this pain, I'm feeling this sad, I'm feeling this frustration, or whatever the feelings that you're having at that moment. I'm not feeling this way because I lost something valuable. I'm feeling this way because I am being separated from an attachment figure who represented safety, support, and comfort for me. Of course, it does not mean that this is how it's supposed to be for the rest of your life. We can always change, we can always evolve and progress, but knowing that the feelings and the pain that we are experiencing is not because we lost someone who was the one, who was the only person who could make us or help us be happy or be joyful. It's not that way. It's because we have become addicted to being connected to this person. And this means that it's going to take time for the chemicals, for the hormones to change, and for us to start to get used to living our lives without the presence of this person in it. The second thing that I think is going to help anxiously attached women to heal from heartbreak is to go no contact. No contact, I think it's one of the most helpful things, especially for women who are anxiously attached. And I read in so many different places that an average time for us to believe that this person is no longer available to us is around 3 months. So I would recommend that if you can go no contact for at least a month, ideally for 3 months, it would be very, very helpful. And the reason is because going no contact is really important for our minds, for our brains to believe that this person is no longer part of our lives. When we have been with a person for a long time, the wiring, the connection, the mental connections and map in our brain represents or reflects the daily habits, experiences, and interactions we have with this person. This means that we are going to need time for this map to change, for all the mental, the neural connections in our brains to start restructuring itself to believe that this person is no longer part of our present life. This is really important because it means that over time we start to accept the present reality. We start to accept our lives without this person being part of it. which means that we are going to start disconnecting and separating ourselves from the past in which this person used to be present in our lives. The other reason no contact is really important is that it helps our nervous system to calm down, and this is really helpful, especially if you're experiencing anxiety after a breakup. Our nervous system has been used to having the rewards of having this person in our lives. And when this person is no longer there, our nervous system starts to experience all kinds of mix of emotions, especially sadness and frustration and anger. And what we want is to give our nervous system some time to calm down and not to be stimulated continuously as a result of having an interaction with this person. This is really important not only for our mental health, but for our physical health as well, because of course anxiety, inflammation, they are the number one, and stress, they are the number one reason for almost, all kinds of diseases that we experience in our lives. And so this is a great time for us to get back to a place where we are able to feel inner peace, to be tranquil, and to calm ourselves down, so that we are back to a state of homeostasis, of tranquility, of peace, to allow ourselves to accept that what has happened, and that it's okay. And let me tell you, I have made the mistake of staying in touch with an ex, and what happened is that if I can go back and undo one mistake, it would probably be this one, because this is wasted precious time. You could waste years in this process trying to make things work, and staying stuck, thinking that you could be friends, but you can't really be friends because you still have the emotions lingering even beneath your awareness. You're trying to pretend that everything is okay, but it's not okay. You're still attached. You try to disconnect emotionally, even though you still have this person present in your life, but you can't do it. And so what I would say is that if you can go no contact, then by all means do it. By all means do it. It is the number one helpful thing that I could recommend especially for someone who's anxiously attached. The third thing that I think is going to help someone with an anxious attachment style heal after a breakup is to gradually start rebuilding your confidence. And the reason this is important is because as anxiously attached, we depend on romantic relationship as a source of our self-worth, of our self-esteem. We think that if we could make this thing work, then our entire life is fantastic, it's amazing. And if this thing doesn't work, if this creation of ours does not work, then it means that there's something wrong with us. We are broken, we're unlovable, we're going to spend the rest of our lives alone, and it means that there has to be something wrong with us. So it's really important after the end of this relationship for yourself to start finding and reconnecting with the strength, the power that you have inside, away from this area. And the way I like to think about it is that we can build our confidence through two paths. One of them is internal work, and the other one is external work. So internal work, it means that doing the activities and the things that help connect you to yourself. This could be in the form of meditating, doing yoga. If you are someone who have artistic tendencies, so you can draw, you can play music, anything that really connects you back to yourself. Personally, I started meditating during that time, and I cannot tell you how much meditation has changed my life. And the reason is because it really helped me to reconnect with the bigger part of myself, the eternal part of myself that has been here before my body comes to existence, and the part that is going to continue to be here after my body is no longer here. And this is the part, this is the bigger part of us that is wise enough that it has all the answers to all the questions that we ever ask ourselves. It's the part of us that knows our worth, that knows that we are enough without the presence of anyone or anything in our lives, that we are enough just because we're here, breathing, having been granted this gift of life. So when I calm myself down and disconnect from everything around me, from the familiarity of my life, the activities, the people, and the things, even my face, and the identity that I have created for myself over the years. When I disconnect from all of this, I'm able to remember, the part of who I am, that does not depend or does not wait for someone else to make me feel good about myself. Now, for you, it could be something different, but anything that really reminds you of who you are, how precious you are. This is the internal work. Yes, it could also be in the form of journaling, because when we journal, we're able to become aware of the thoughts, the feelings that we experience. We're able to see ourselves objectively, which is a very, very key step in the process of growing and learning so many things from this experience. Now, on the other hand, there is also the external work. And this could be in the form of activities, things that you do in your life that make you feel that you are capable. So this could be anything that's related to your professional life, socializing, going back to spend time with your family, with your friends, with your loved ones, volunteering, expanding yourself beyond the context of a romantic relationship. And this is really important because women who have an anxious attachment style, what they tend to do is that once they are in a relationship, they tend to pour all of their time and energy into this person. Yes, they make it a priority. So for me, I remember I stopped working out. I stopped spending a lot of time with my family, with my friends. I stopped going out. I stopped going out for walks. I used to love walking. So there were meditating. It shrinked so much. Reading. I remember that it was one of the biggest mistakes that I've ever done. So now it's time to go back and reestablish, to rebuild all of these pillars that hold the ceiling of your confidence and self-esteem. So for me, what I did was that I started applying. I applied to do my master's degree. And I can't tell you how great it made me feel, because the whole process, talking to people about it, researching universities, and then applying, and then traveling to another country, exposing myself to a different culture. Now, of course, you don't need to move countries to be able to do something different in your life or to expand yourself beyond the context of this past relationship. There are so many things that you can do. I'm just giving you an example of my personal experience. This was really helpful because when I started doing all of these things, I started to believe that, I could find joy, I could find strength, appreciation in different parts of this life. It doesn't have to be through the context of a romantic relationship. So you get to decide what activities, what passions bring your heart to life. It could be drawing, playing music, volunteering, meditating, hiking, whatever it is that makes you feel happy, joyful, that gives you a sense of being alive and being grateful to be here in this life, experiencing so many different situations and experiences. I really hope that you found some of these tips helpful, and in the end I want to remind you that if you are going through this time, I just want you to know that it's not permanent. This is temporary. The pain that you're feeling is temporary, and on the other side of this, it's a great opportunity for you to grow like you've never grown in your life before, and know that your worth does not depend on another human being being in your life. You don't need someone else to make you feel good about yourself. You can do this. It does not mean that we are going to live our lives alone, but there are so many different forms of love, and at the moment I would invite you to experience as many of those as possible outside the context of a romantic relationship, beginning with appreciating yourself, respecting yourself, having a lot of compassion and kindness towards yourself, and then extending your heart to people who appreciate you around you, family, friends, even strangers. Let me know in the comments if you have any topics that you would like me to create a video about related to breakup and anxious attachment. I wish you all the best, and I'll see you in the next video.